Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Alex Driskell again from Sweet Georgia Sports, coming at you today with Toma Talk Episode 6, The Anomaly, Kyle Wright. I know it's been a while since I've done like a Toma Talk episode, which is basically where an idea just pops in my mind and I basically rant about it. I know the last one I really ranted about in Episode 5 was about the Braves like striking back against the Blue Jays when they hit Freddie and all that stuff, and that was like in May, so just getting back to this Braves Toma Talk series. Again, this is episode 6, and it is the anomaly, Kyle Wright. Just going to look into why Kyle Wright is this huge anomaly in the Braves system. So, just a little bit of a review on Kyle Wright. He's 6'4", 210, 215. He's 21, a Vandy alum. He was the 5th overall pick this year by the Braves. He has a plus fastball and a very little used cutter or cut fastball that has some run on it, a plus curveball, plus change, and a slider. That is a plus, but if there was one pitch that he needs a bit more development on, it would be a slider. But besides that, every single one of his pitches are MLB offerings right now. He went unselected out of Buckhorn High School in Huntsville, Alabama, so he is from Braves country. And I believe when he went unselected coming out of high school, that was like 2012, 2013, somewhere around in there. But again, this year he was the 5th overall pick by the Braves. And he could have been the 1st overall pick, as well as all the guys that were selected in the top 5. Royce Lewis, Hunter Green, Mackenzie Gore, Brendan McKay, Kyle Wright. All 5 of those guys could have gone 1st overall, but it was just the way, I guess, the other teams that drafted ahead of the Braves, how they prioritized their boards and whatnot, and what their war rooms and what their scouts were saying against the Braves scouts and all the other scouts from all the different teams. But he was considered a candidate to be the 1st overall pick, but he slipped all the way to number 5, and that's why we gave him 1st overall type money. I believe it was around $7 million, and that's a little more than $2 million on 5th overall pick slot values. So usually a 5th overall pick gets around $5 to $5.5 million in most cases, but since he was considered a 1st overall pick, we were going to compensate him and give him 1st overall money. He's being compared to John Smoltz. I know when they did the draft, they just they let Smoltz talk about him ad nauseum, and Smoltz said he did remind him a lot of himself, but because of his frame, he's 6'4", 210, 215. I lean on the 215 side a bit more. I mean, he's kind of wiry, but he's very, very projectable. But the more realistic comparison is Steven Strasburg when Steven Strasburg came out of college, and not Steven Strasburg right now, because Steven Strasburg when he came out of college was 6'4", 215, 220. Now he's like 220, 225, something like that. And Kyle Wright can put on some weight and more muscle mass to get around that 220, 225 mark, which I think it would be great for him just to fill out right there. But not only because of their frames coming out of college, but also because of their similar pitch arsenals that I listed earlier and their developmental timelines, which means when we saw Steven Strasburg, he only spent 1 year in minor league baseball, just tore through the minor leagues with the Nationals, and then he was called up to the major leagues in the middle of the year. And that's what a lot of scouts and a lot of people in the media are saying about Kyle Wright. I completely believe that, because he's the most pro-ready pitcher that was in this MLB draft recently and in the Braves farm system. So, I mean, he could see 1 year in minor league baseball, and then the middle of next year, probably around the dog days of summer in June, July, August, right where we are now, he could be called up. So just keep an eye out on that. The upside on Kyle Wright with college pitchers, what you see is what you get, and sometimes that's absolutely a great thing, especially with all the hype surrounding them with that. Guys that that are like this include, again, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, who came out of Florida Gulf Coast, Garrett Cole, and Trevor Bauer, who I believe are UCLA alums. So all these pitchers, they were very, very hyped up coming out of college, and they more than lived up to it. And what you see is what you get with college pitchers. And again, on Kyle Wright, all his pitches are major league offerings right now, and he could be in Atlanta as soon as next season, which I'm really excited about. So that's the upside on Kyle Wright. Now let's go to the downside. He was a tad bit inconsistent early on this year at Vandy, and as stated before, what you see is what you get. So if he struggles at the minor league level and doesn't make up for those struggles, he could very well become a bust. And guys like that include Mark Appel, who was the first overall selection, I believe, by the Astros in 2013. He came out of Stanford. Carlos Rodon, who was drafted, I also believe, in 2013. He was from NC State. And then Aaron Nola, where he went to college, escapes me. But out of those three guys, I would say Nola's the best, and he's showing a little bit more progress than the two guys right there with Mark Appel and Carlos Rodon. So, I mean, if Kyle Wright struggles at the minor league level, which he's not doing right now, and just a little minor league update on him, he started out in rookie ball with the GCL Braves, and then he just completely skipped rookie ball with Danville and completely skipped low A with Rome and was promoted right up to high A Florida with the Fire Frogs. And he's been on a tear there. I mean, he's on an innings limit, kind of like a pitch limit, pitch count there, but from what I can see and what I'm reading, he's absolutely dominating down there, and he's doing a very good job down there. So moving on from the downside on Kyle Wright, here's the reason to be excited. Here's like the main talking point and why he is like this anomaly in the Brave system. As the rebuild started in 2014, and it progressed further, John Hart and John Coppolella and everybody in the front office built around young, high upside, high ceiling pitching. For two straight drafts in the 2015 and the 2016 draft, the front office drafted all high school guys in Colby Allard, Mike Soroka, Ian Anderson, Joey Wentz, and Kyle Muller, all within the first two rounds, whether that be the first round, the competitive balance round, or just the second round in general. And I could even further this point by saying that they drafted, you can put that in air quotes, Touki Toussaint, but they really didn't. They traded for Touki Toussaint, who was the 16th overall pick in 2014. We got Touki last year, I believe, when we basically took on Bronson Arroyo's contract from the Diamondbacks in exchange for Touki Toussaint. So with Wright, he's the one who bucks the trend because, one, he's a college guy, and two, yeah, his ceiling is very, very high, but his floor is also insanely high as well. So that's why I'm extremely, extremely excited. It's because the front office was all in on bucking this trend of drafting a high school, high upside guy with a low floor, and instead they went with a college guy who has an incredibly high ceiling and an incredibly high upside, but also on the other hand has an extremely high floor. And that means they saw something very, very special. And right, I'll say it like this: the Braves, it's kind of a weird comparison. Sometimes in high school you see a guy only date brunettes, and then he'll just go for this blonde one time, and that's what the Braves did. We drafted brunettes with Colby Allard and Mike Soroka and all those high school guys, and the blonde here is Kyle Wright. And if things go as planned for him, I'll just come out and say it, that this could be, and this would be, the best pick out of all the Hart and John Coppolella drafts. So that is why you should be excited, and that's why I am really, really excited for Kyle Wright and his development, and once he gets to Atlanta with the big club. So if you liked it, Leave a thumbs up, a comment on what you think of Kyle Wright, what you like about the channel as well. Make sure you check out all the other videos as well. And so I've been Alex Driskell from Sweet Georgia Sports saying chop on, Atlanta.